Okay, this is the next update. So obviously I need to purchase some risers, but I had to kind of figure out what I need. And I got the track that I need for the bottom. In single track, I'm still pretty okay. So I put this re-railer double section before the turnout, and I'm going to have from the upper 4-inch above main line on the bottom level, have it connect with the bottom main line, because there's no way right now to do that. So it's going to go around like so. Obviously, excuse the crudity of this model, and then it'll continue on where a month ago I put this turnout. So now, once this is operational, you'll be able to go from this main line to the upper main line. The other thing that I did was I scrubbed the walls where the scenery from above kind of ran down in spots. So I got that down, and I made a cut. It must be something to do with the drywall, but there's a bow here that wants to push the skyboard, these blue skyboards that hide this main line here, out. And I just kind of tack hot glued in the back section that down so that it's reliable. Now this is where there's going to be someday, when Cato has them, turntable and roundhouse for Union Pacific. Each railroad, Union Pacific, Milwaukee Road, and Northern Pacific, have their own turntable or will and roundhouse on my layout. So this is the Milwaukee Road one. Over there in Livingston is where the Northern Pacific one will be, and this will be where the big boys and all that will be. And I'm doing Cato for all, even though they don't fit, but I've had it set up where I can put 2 big boys, which is perfect, at a time, where it just crosses the turntable. Anyway, that's enough about that. So I took the back main line hasn't been cleaned for a while because I've been working on the bottom. Last night I made some changes, which I'm going to show you in a second, right before the tunnel, because I was having issues, and there was a little pieces of rock grout on the inside of the turnout, and just where I had scenery had got a little sloppy. So the skyboard fits back in there. This riser is now tacked into a spot where it was loose, or where it had come loose. And what I'm going to work on next after this is get these routed properly, clean the wall where that wash had run down, extend my LEDs around. And I did move the refinery and decided that it's probably not going to be here. If I'm going to still have room for it, it'll be maybe in this section. I don't know anymore. I've got it up, taken apart. Maybe I could put it in Salt Lake City. I'm not sure. My mechanic was at Goodwill, and he found this for $3. It's a bat signal. So I'm going to take that apart and mount that in Salt Lake City. Mormon Batman. And in here, after this video, let's just zoom out, sorry. Those pieces of foam have to be trimmed down a little bit, the ones that are loose, and I reposition that. I have to mount these LEDs properly, take this damn tape off, get back there. But I like what I did here with the nothing, basically, with taking buildings off. I'm going to have a whack of buildings for sale. I'm a hoarder of N-scale stuff, so really happy with that. This is road crossing to here, and these two 28-inch are new, and I have no more problems anymore. Now this is something I want to show you that I found in this corner where I was having sometimes problems. Not every locomotive, Broadways weren't, but my scale trains is having a lot of problem. This is from the V16 set, and I have no idea how this has happened. I've been using Cato Track for 15 years. I was probably one of the first people to do it. Look at that. don't know if that's a manufacturing defect or what, but that's a little dip in the rail, and I don't know what to say. Like, I didn't hit it with a hammer, and it's not broken on the plastic anywhere, but holy man, does that cause issues. So I don't know what to say. You gotta get your head shoved in the back of the layout to see what's going on, because you're looking at the track and you're thinking, it's all connected? What the heck? Hot glue is the way to go for connecting this. I know that, I don't know if he does it for his track, but Pfeiffer does it for his layout building. That's how he builds layouts so fast, is because hot glue is a miracle product, really. You put a little bit of weight on it, and in a minute or not even 30 seconds, it's dry, and you're positioning things into place. Yeah, that looks ugly, but there's a skyboard that goes in front of that, and it makes it so that this track is completely level. So I've been seeing a lot of things online, like I read the Railwire forums and other videos, I guess, on YouTube, and people are complaining about things derailing. First things first, guys, take a look at your track, and even I'm guilty of it. You know, I saw a guy today, he had code 55. I don't know who it is, it's not a big deal, but he had ballast all over it, and it didn't look good. It was crude at best, and it was all over the middle. Like I say, I had one rock in front of a turnout, and I had issues that I fixed for a 4-hour and 2-hour session last night into the morning, and I got it working now. You know, my Broadway USRA 282 and 462s, they're bulletproof. The Pacific with the 462 is the best wheel arrangement in the Paragon 4, and the 282 is pretty close behind in that they don't derail, but I was having issues where it was derailing in this one spot over in front of that tunnel. And before I relayed that and found my issues, which was a kink from, not a kink, I guess a little piece of solder, that's my fault. The track was bowed up a little bit in that it wasn't glued down, that's my fault. And it's just from expansion and contraction, it's spring right now. The other thing is I have these legs. You can see that one is an adjustable one, because right there in the corner of my house, this house is 6 years old, but it's going into spring, and I took that leg off beside it and adjusted this one down. There's a reason, because right here, it wants to bow up every time, and then basically if your couplers aren't perfect, which in N scale they never are, no matter what you do, you're going to get an issue. So I'm going to take that piece of track off. It's not glued yet. And I'm going to sand it down and then trim this leg, or just not have it. It seems to be okay without. I don't want my train benchwork to wobble. So if somebody comes in the layout room, they always are leaning on the benchwork. Even I would do that. I don't want it to move at all. And so I believe in having solid benchwork. But as you can see, I have these shims. I had other shims in here with plastic paint scrapers in the wintertime, and now I took them out because this corner of my house, let's just zoom out, back in this corner, that's going up and down right now because we're going into spring. It's +2°C outside, and things are melting. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, before you start screaming at the manufacturer, and the reason that I'm defending them is it's a golden age for N scale. They're making the best and almost everything, as far as we're getting almost everything we want. You have RSD 15 now with sound. You have all these ESU locos from Atlas. You have all the turbines. Yeah, some of them are not as good, and everybody will argue about which one is the better one. For me, I like Steam, and for Steam, Broadway works good for what I want to do, which on the top, when I was running the top level, I haven't run it for probably 2 months, but when I was running it, The Broadways are the only one that will go up the 2% grades that I have, and I have designed the top around them. I have a dozen of those locomotives, Paragon 3 and 4. It doesn't make enough of a difference having enough feeders. More feeders makes more of a difference than having Paragon 4. I have, majority of them are Paragon 3. You know, people online are saying Paragon 3 is no good. You know, get rid of it. Well, what about the guy that has to buy your stuff and of course you want full price for it again? That's not very nice. I bought mine new. I've had really no issues with it. They're more as reliable as a GP7 from Atlas or another diesel. Example, I'm using Pfeiffer because, you know, everyone knows him. He runs no sound, as he says he's not a sound guy because he doesn't want it to cut in and out, I assume. And he runs a lot of Kato F and E units. Those are bulletproof. They're made of completely of weight. Anything that's heavy, you won't have issues. So as a comparison, I could run these two Atlas H15s, the Fairbanks Morse pair, on the bottom loop, and they wouldn't derail in the spot where everything else derailed. So there would be the assumption by someone who would say, okay, well, Atlas is the only manufacturer I'm going to go with, or Kato, or, you know, whatever the case, because I'm having no issues. I think it's really comes down to trackwork, and Pfeiffer himself has said that. So it wasn't frustrating to me at all to be able to pull this up. Hot glue comes up. This was hot glued differently before, and it was too much. I cut it out with a Olfa knife. It was up in two minutes, guys, and basically a stiff brush. He uses a toothbrush. I use the equivalent is very, very stiff to clean out inside of the turnout. Where's that tweezer? Let me just see where I put it, just to show you. This isn't the exact one, but it'll give you an idea. A curved tweezer like this. This is how I scrape on the inside. And shoving my head back there to be able to see, because what it was a rock on the other side of the rail, and over here a bump of solder, a goop of it on the other side of the rail. So when you come in and you run trains for, let's say, a half an hour before supper, you come down, it doesn't run. But when you come down and you run trains for 2 hours, 4 hours continuously, and you're sitting here and having your locomotive go back and forth, over and over, back and forth, and eventually I clued in and saw that there was a solder here and a rock from ballast over there. And now this is all bulletproof. The only one that I know I'm having issues with still is the Scale Trains turbine. So this is the first release, and it has 6-axle trucks. And this is the second release, the standard. So these are the big blows. And I have 2 of the standards. I don't really run this one too much for whatever reason, but I run this one a lot. And these are dummy trucks, I guess. And they come off constantly. But when I read online, I'm not the only one. And these here, I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't like the main line on the bottom. My M10000 from Concours, my Zephyr from Concours, certain locomotives do not like this main line because it's S curves and it's banked back and forth. And that's why I strategically have placed the roads or the re-railers. So there's a road from the nuclear plant to the army base, and then there's going to be another road. I don't know what I'm going to do with this scene here, maybe put a tunnel or a bridge or interstate or something, but a purpose for that road, not a road to nowhere. And then there's a road to into the airport. And anytime I can, I have that straight break. And so if it was coming out of the curve and it was derailed, which the Broadways, it's not an issue. If you run microtrains, wheels, and couplers, it's not an issue. You start putting in the odd Athearn car, the odd Bachmann car, something that's got a bigger coupler on it, and you know, the couplers are not matching up perfectly, then you're going to have problems. You know, out of all the trains that I have, probably 95% of them are microtrains, plastic Delrin wheels. At some point when I'm financially able to, which will be this year, I want to change to metal wheels in all of them. I don't really have track cleaning issues. It's a center of gravity issue on gondolas that I'm having, and passenger cars, because there's not enough weight in a gondola and there's not enough weight in a passenger car. But Microtrain's PS1 boxcar, you run a 50-car train of that, no problem, including at a show for 3 hours, and you can go use the washroom, have a hot dog, do whatever you want to do, come back, and it's still on the track. So certain cars run better than others. Certain locomotives run better than others. You know, why does that scale train's big blow turbine run flawlessly, and then the other standard turbine with a 4-axle truck not run? And keep this in mind, there's, I believe, one piece of 15-inch on my return loops. So I'll explain that now so you understand what I'm talking about. So right here, I've got it marked. This is a 15-inch piece of track. This is just going to be a closet someday. And this is a re-railer. So if a locomotive derails here, so I'm trying to think what does, not too much, but we've got a straight piece on purpose, which is a brake for the locomotive. And remember, I run a lot of steam, I run these turbines, a lot of picky stuff. So you've got a straight brake coming out of 19-inch curves. Over here is another 15. That's so, because this closet, it has to fit in there, the teardrop shape. But where it's coming out of the wall, in all of these return loops, kind of hard to see with all the junk, there's 19-inch or 28-inch wherever possible. So you've got one piece of 15 there, one piece of 15 here. This one's slightly different, this one's slightly different, but they all have the same effect. And essentially it is, they never derail in the tunnel. If it's going to derail, it's going to be here where I can catch it, where I can fix it. I've got 19 on this whole loop, and it'll derail. It's because it's not glued down yet. So I know that that's the problem. And if I'm looking at other layouts and guys have code 55 or code 80 and they've got ballast all over it, considering I had so much issues with one little rock, I couldn't imagine. Go as broad a radius as you can. That's why you're modeling an N scale. Here is those beautiful track cleaning tweezers. Let me show you what else. So here I've got, on purpose, a re-railer. Now that's something Pfeiffer and I don't agree with, in that he says he doesn't need them, whatever. So this will be a road into my orchard house. This will be a road here. I have to come back with a Woodland Scenic Smooth it in a lot of these spots, but this track isn't glued down. If this track was like this, sometimes it is because there's a piece of junk under there or whatever. I've taken it up and put it back and it's not sitting correctly. If it's not sitting flat, guys, in N scale, you're going to have a derailment issue. So I've worked with this track for 15, 17 years. Been in N scale for 27 years in N scale. I know how to make the trains run reliably. So right here, before a turnout, wherever possible, you know, I don't really need a road here, but I can make it so I got a road to my coal plant and, you know, have a shed here, a purpose for this road. Because coming into a turnout and coming out of a turnout on a mainline run, that's the way to do it. If that's unsightly, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather that it runs reliably. And I'll tell you, knock on wood, I don't have locomotives hit the floor. I've never had it happen because the benchwork doesn't wobble. Everything is overbuilt, maybe, if anything. And on top of it, I'm using as broad a radius as possible, and I'm using re-railers wherever possible. So, okay, so I just wanted to give you that update, and once I get some more risers, I can, but I just wanted to show you, and I have to visualize and figure out how many I need. That's how I do it when I'm in between risers. And then don't worry, the once I'm gonna look at all the junk back there. I've been vacuuming up to here. I'm vacuuming some more and doing some more hot glue in the corner, and then I'll put these skyboards back on. Okay, we'll talk to you then.